Alright, so this vlog is about my 24/7 dizziness, disequilibrium issue. I've been disabled from this. So on September 1st, 2015, this all happened because I had a fall. I fell from standing on a carpeted floor in my room. It was complicated by this because I was bound to where I couldn't move my arms or my legs, and I got pulled from the legs. So when this happened, I fell in an angle like this, well, kind of like this. So it was like the shoulder hit the ground, and then I got on my back, and then my head hit the ground. So it's very similar to how a football player would have been tackled into the ground, so to speak. The injury all occurred because I couldn't move my arms, so I couldn't press my arms out to brace the fall, basically. So when this injury first happened, well, first of all, I was having sort of a near-death experience as it was happening because I was stuck on the ground and I was getting asphyxiated from the chest area by the object I was bound with. And then when I got up, this floor was on the wall, and this wall was up here, and this wall was over there. So it was as if my entire head was turned like this. That's the way visually it looked for the first 48 hours. I went outside. I mean, I tried to walk, but it didn't do me any good. I tried to reorient myself. Not only that, from sitting in the bed, the room was spinning. The room was spinning in a bed spin, just like it would be as if you first drank alcohol for the first time on senior week, so to speak. And then instantly my stomach was really upset. I felt really, really nauseous. I had about 6 bouts of diarrhea, instantly. Boom, 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 boom. I tried to go into the shower, put hot water on, almost threw up. Tried to change some cold water, almost threw up. I ended up, getting scared. I tried to call paramedics. I didn't know what to do. They said it doesn't look like I was dying or anything, so I just stayed there. I didn't go to a hospital or an emergency room. So then it was a week later, I got an x-ray done, and I had a forward head posture, neck, but otherwise it was normal. So there was it was an abnormal straightening of the cervical curve, So that's sort of what showed up. So basically it was being pretty much explained as being a neck strain, whiplash, kind of neck injury. With that neck injury, I could not bend my head all the way down for actual cervical range of motion, not to mention dizziness. And turning to the right, I couldn't turn all the way to the right, and right here, even still today, this piece of this muscle, it feels like a wall, and it just stops my neck right here. And due to this, what's happened is it's taken my body from my lumbar area, and it keeps cocking me to the left. So as I'm laying in bed, I'm being cocked to the left, and then this is actually making me hard to be right. So my entire line of center is really screwed. So it's if I try to get my head to look center, everything gets really dizzy. With this 24/7 dizziness, what it's like me sitting in a chair, it's as if the body is constantly rocking like this, so you're trying to stop, and this is a lot of tension and energy to try to control the motion, basically. It's like being as if, you're on a boat and you're trying to not rock, which is it's not possible. So you have all this fatigue with that. Now, in conjunction with this, if I take my head all the way down, if I stretch my arms out and do this, and then I will actually flip over, and this chest will get pushed in like this, and it'll feel like I can't breathe. And then I actually got all disoriented like this on the floor, I couldn't even get up. It was like a sumo wrestler sat on my chest. Actually, just yesterday, I was doing a Tai Chi exercise in the chair where I was down like this. I was holding, and I was having to keep my neck up. Everyone else had their neck down, but I couldn't do that because it would make me fall to the ground. And it actually did the same thing. It pushed this in and pushed this up like this. So it felt like there was a fist here and a fist there. And this spot being pushed in like this creates me to feel like I'm not breathing. Like it's actually like hard to breathe. Because it's like someone's literally pushing down on here. And then this, when this action happened, it actually re-traumatized me from how I felt when I was on the floor, when the event actually occurred. So I've gotten my blood work done a million times. It's all normal. I have a little bit of white blood cells were like about 2 points above normal pretty consistently for like half of the time. Now, given 2 of those, anyway, I had the potassium slightly low, but there's nothing obviously showing in blood work. So that's been checked. My blood pressure's been checked 100 million times. I have completely normal blood pressure, really good blood pressure. So it's not a postural, it's not a POTS thing. It's not an orthostatic hypotension dizziness. I've got my ears checked, and when I went to a vestibular therapist, they put me in these various positions that make me dizzy. They looked at my eyes. I didn't have any nystagmus, and I did not have the rotating spin. I only had that rotating spin on the first 48 hours when this injury occurred. So they ruled out vertigo, and so they're saying the Epley maneuver and all that won't work on it. So then it's pretty much been boiled down to the dizziness being cervicogenic dizziness, and the injury that caused it was a whiplash kind of muscle strain. And then they're basically saying that me already having PTSD existing prior, in this event, which I was basically like a near-death experience or a perceived near-death experience, was an acute PTSD. And as I've been explained through pain condition and from neurological, that the PTSD, the neurological memory of that, and with the symptoms, is causing my brain to not heal. That I've been told that the injury is gone, but my brain basically doesn't think it is. Which is the same explanation for people who have chronic pain, and I have all this pain in this area. This whole area is extreme pain, like in the levator scapula, like right here, really, really hurts. If I play guitar or sit in this position, it flares it up like no other. So there's that issue with that too, while this muscle up in here is really, really tight. And this feels like there's like no muscle here. Like it almost feels like it's just bone, and it's like so weak and flat to where it's pain, to where it's creating pain. That's almost what appears on my body. Whereas this, I actually feel like there's a lot of muscle, but it's apparently just because it's really, really tight. So it's kind of odd. There's like an imbalance with this kind of being pushed down, this kind of going up. Something like that. Anyway, so I'm disabled with this thing. I want to try to get any of the help I can get. I've gone to 30 specialists. No doctors have been able to help me. I already did vestibular rehab, and that isn't doing anything, or it's not helping any. I already got the ears checked. I'm going to try to go to a vision trainer to see if it's something with the eyes. I absolutely believe that what this isn't just simply whiplash, but I think it's what I have is post-concussion syndrome, which is also known as mild traumatic brain injury. And doctors completely suck at getting that diagnosed, including some of the specialists. And as far as the HELP program goes, I'm too functional for any of the MTBI programs that I've found, so I'm basically left to just live like this and not have an official diagnosis as far as that part goes at the same time. And that really, really sucks because it makes it sound like that it's all fictitious or something. It's just not. If any doctor can physically feel up in here, they feel this area being screwed up, but if they throw me in an MRI scanner, my MRI of my cervical spine is unremarkable. This shoulder here showed minimal bursitis, but minimal. So even that's like stretching it of what's supposedly there. I never got this shoulder MRI'd, and I never got my thoracic or lumbar spine MRI'd. My brain has been MRI'd, and that's normal. I got an MRA of the brain and neck, and that's normal. So vertebral artery, carotid artery dissections, hemorrhages, strokes, mini strokes, tumors, CSF leaks, hydrocephalus, all of these things have been ruled out. out of the picture. So I pretty much just been left with the cervicogenic dizziness. The one fear of it, the one physical therapist had, that since these muscles are connected, that it can actually go up into the vestibular nerve of the ear. So the vestibular nerve in the ear may be caused due to the muscular tension in here affecting that nerve, mimicking an inner ear disorder, even though there's nothing actually wrong with the inner ear. That's one of the plausible theories I've been told, which I guess would mean that as long as this muscular stuff is screwed up, I will continue to have this dizziness disequilibrium. I've already looked at like health anxiety, so I've tried to do some management. With living like this, it's very, very hard. I'm very isolated. I have extreme agoraphobia because I'm afraid of falling down. I can't take being in crowds. I can't take all this processing simulation. I can only sit in a chair for a certain. So as I was just about to say is that I can only handle like being in a chair for a certain period of time, and I either get too dizzy or have pain. If I try to lay down, if I lay down for too long, like I don't know, like a few hours or 2 hours or something, then when I get up, all my dizziness is much more increased. So it became a riddle of, it's like, it starts to be like, oh God, well, what the hell am I going to do? Because, you know, I'm sitting up and then that gets like that, I lay down, it gets like that. A lot of this just started turning into panic type of symptoms as reactions to this entrapment of what I went through. And then with that, ended up having a lot of having to seek all these other doctors and constantly being at doctors and not being able to handle being alone and feeling very alone. And then I got into like catastrophic thinking, leading to being like, well, now I'm going to most likely be forever like this. Now I can't have a job, I can't do music, I can't be outside. If I go outside, then I'm going to possibly fall, and then if I fall, then I'll either die by second impact syndrome, or I'll just be re-traumatized, or re-injured, or, you know, it kept going, and then I ended up getting into suicidal thoughts, and then I was constantly having these massive crisis episodes, and I was calling friends, and then the friends were overwhelmed by this, and then they would leave, so then I ended up resulting in the suicide hotlines as someone to talk to when I'm like this. And then the suicidal thoughts only started to calm down once I realized no matter how bad these mental health episodes was, and even if I broke stuff, if I was to say I grab a knife, it would be like an inch away from my wrist, or an inch away from my chest. Like, I wouldn't be able to lead to self-harm. So once I realized all these thoughts and actions never led to self-harm, then I realize I am safe, as far as this goes. Doesn't mean I'm not suffering. Incredibly suffering. Incredibly scary, incredibly nauseating, sickening, just horrible suffering, but I am safe, as far as a death thing, as far as that feelings go. So that helps stop some of those behaviors. So getting a little bit of life back and a little bit more independence as far as I can be alone at the house. These episodes happen less frequently, and doesn't lead to ER trips so much anymore. Was before, it was like every single time I had to go to the ER room from this. So as far as the things I've done, like I said, I got my blood work done. That was normal. I got the MRI of the neck was unremarkable. The MRI of the brain was normal. The MRA of the head and neck was normal. MRI of the shoulder had a little bit of minimal bursitis. This shoulder was not MRI'd. This back, the thoracic and lumbar, was not MRI'd. The X-ray of the cervical neck had a forward head posture neck, otherwise normal. My blood pressure's been checked, and that's entirely normal range. It's not, not orthostatic. I've gotten several EKGs done. They were normal. I got an echocardiogram, was normal. I got a video EEG done. I did not, however, fall asleep when that happened. I had a seizure from the hyperventilation test, which was considered as an absence seizure. So a seizure that is not neurological. basically. So that test altogether was basically deemed normal. I was originally diagnosed with occipital neuralgia, and I got 3 treatments of occipital nerve blocks. I did the complete series, and it did not help at all. It made me feel really bad. But the only benefit I got was the little bit of the steroid injection did help lessen the tightness on this side of my neck, like up here. I went to the orthopedist quite a few times. I tried a steroid generalized shot in the shoulder, and then it was painful. I did that. It didn't really help. I did the orthopedist gave me all the drugs. He gave me the anti-inflammatories. He gave me the muscle relaxers. I did all this. It never took away the pain. Like I could have had a headache before this whole injury. Like I could have had a headache, take an ibuprofen, takes away the pain. If I had a toothache, take an ibuprofen, takes away the pain. This would never go away with medicine. It never could, no matter what I took and how strong it was. Medicine did not work, period, for the pain symptom, which I find kind of strange. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I know other people have my brother has musculoskeletal issues, and his pain medicine works, but my pain medicine never worked for me. Like, it never took away, it never gave any relief, like, at all. I did ice and heat, my God, like probably 3 times a day for a whole year. That didn't do anything, yet I still did that for a whole year. I went to a chiropractor. I got the simple chiropractic crack back thing, being put on the bed rollers with the TENS unit and a little bit of ice. I actually was getting slightly better from the chiropractor. I had one moment where when I went to the chiropractor and I was so frustrated with the dizziness that I actually went outside. This was like 4 months in. I went outside, I looked my head down at the ground, and I just started running as fast as I could, up and down the street. And then I was dizzy as crap for like an hour and a half. But for about a week, I actually didn't have dizziness. It was the only period of time, this entire time, where I didn't have dizziness. It was between that and something with the chiropractor. But then when I went back to the chiropractor, he had a gun click thing, which was done by a different person. He did like this, and then it was all set off. It was like my symptoms was back to the beginning again. And I sort of went to that beginning ever since. I went to a first vestibular therapist who told me not to move my neck. He was like, we can't splint the neck, so you have to just not move it. And then you have to wear a soft collar, and you have to literally not move it. Don't look down, don't look up and down, just don't even move your neck. And that was the most horrible, horrible thing that ever happened in this whole thing. I pretty much was even worse than what the injury was. It set me back so far. So far. I couldn't like do anything anymore. Like, it got to a point where I couldn't take a shower anymore. I was completely couldn't do anything. It took me, since that moment, it took me 5 months to be able to walk around the block to a normal pace. It was like so geriatric, so painful, so dizzy, and it took that long to undo that. And that was also with the nerve block stuff assisting that. Because for a very long time, this very back of the head was very sensitive. If I just tapped it, I was so dizzy everywhere, and I had all this neurological stuff firing in my head. Like, I could feel electric impulses and numbing in various parts of the lobes. I had, also with the vestibular guy, as far as my spine, on the bone spurs, if you press down on each bone spur, it would shoot electric stuff down my arms. And when that guy did that, it kept shooting it down the arms for like 5 months. And then it felt like down in my stomach, down in like the lumbar, towards my butt, it felt like there was a phone vibrator in my body, like, it would not stop. And then when I tried to take an SSRI medicine, which was the Paxil at the time, or sorry, Prozac, it made it even worse. So, that's all. Was a horrible period of time in this journey. I had so many symptoms that were so crazy, so hard to explain, and it was all mostly like parathesis type of symptoms. They're gone now, thank fucking Christ. Knock on the wood. But it took like 6 months for that just to go away, and that was really bad. I had an immune system issue going on for a while too. Anyway, so I have allergies. I was doing allergy shots. I don't know if that's going to help dizziness at all. I don't know. I don't know what else to do to fix this, or what could really be the cause, or more importantly, what can be done to fix this. So many things have been ruled out and pretty much deemed as a medical mystery. It is, this all happened once the injury happened. It was acute, and when I fell on that ground, I was just like, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh man, I really fucked myself up big time, this time. I just knew it. I was not like this before, at all, and I'm like this. It's been a year and a half, and I'm pretty much stuck this way. Just got to a point of giving up, to where just sort of accepting, surrendering, this is the new me. This is how I have to live my life. I'm not happy, but what can I do? The only thing I can do is kill myself. And apparently, no matter how strong my sensation or desire is to kill myself, I can't get that knife through me. I can't do it. So I'm stuck here. So, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck alive. I'm stuck in what I live with. So, this is pretty much what I've been dealing with. So I live alone in my house. I pretty much don't come out. I can't really see people. I can't handle simulation. I don't really talk to peers very much, because they can't handle someone who's disabled. They can't handle hearing these symptoms, especially because it's every day. My day is the same almost every day. They can't handle the emotional crises that happen when how this drives you crazy. The frustration, the anger. People can't handle any of these negative emotions. They just repel. It's like anti-friend repellent, pretty much. So, I mean, I pretty much have a daily routine every day of doing active physical therapy or active things to, quote-unquote, make this better, and try to eat as healthy as I can, and, I mean, and that's it. But I live in this house. It's my life. I'm filing for disability, reluctantly, which I put off for a whole year, because I don't want to admit, I don't want to be able to have that. You can barely live off of that, so if something happens to me, I'm going to pretty much be living in poverty. It's not going to be enjoyable, and I have to live with this thing. It's just ruined my whole life, and there's pretty much nothing that I can do about it. People can't handle me saying things like that, and whatever. So, this is what I go through all the time. There's not been an answer, except for my self-diagnosis of post-concussion, mild traumatic brain injury, and the doctor's diagnosis of cervicogenic dizziness. And there isn't anything else. I mean, the only conclusion we have is it's cervicogenic dizziness from a neck injury of a whiplash type that created a post-concussion syndrome, mild traumatic brain injury, and that my PTSD of the event is making my brain not be able to heal. It's keeping it stuck where it is, instead of it being able to forget that it all happened and allowing it to heal. So now it got stuck in this syndrome for so long where it's become what it is now. That is pretty much the best explained thing. But even though I said all that, it's not anything I can put on disability. So unfortunately for disability, I have to just put down PTSD. It's the only thing I got. Like the physical stuff, the doctors fucking suck. They don't really care. They haven't put anything down as far as it goes. And pretty much doctors, I just really don't understand. Like, it just thinks it's a simple strain and it's going to go away and that's it. And that's not what has happened, clearly, at all. Something way more extreme. Lots of the people have my symptoms, have inner ear disorders. My situation, it doesn't seem to be inner ear, because a lot of the inner ear stuff is ruled out, unless if something is affecting the nerve in itself, but all the other things have been ruled out. Like, I never even had a history of ear infections before, and I didn't have an ear infection then. So my ears were all perfect hearing, despite being a musician. There's no Meniere's, no labyrinthitis, no paramouth fistula, there's no acoustic neuroma. It's none of this stuff. So that's sort of ruled out. All I got left to go to is a vision trainer to see if the dizziness, all this, is coming from the eyes being potentially misaligned from the fall and from the combination of that and the wear and tear. That's all I got, except to keep working on this neck, which is no surgeon will touch my neck or shoulder because it's normal in an MRI. So I'm left with all body work modalities to work with to figure out. I did deep tissue massage. The first one I got some benefit, but the others, if they massage any of where I had pain, it just flares it up. I tried trigger point injections, dry needling, trigger point injections, and that didn't work either. So I'm pretty much trying to find cranioscalpel and rolfing as all I've really mostly left to try. I mean, whatever else that could be possibly done to the fascia, I don't know. But, so that's pretty much what I got. I don't really know what else to really do or get better. I know there's people out there who have this, maybe not from the exact thing that I had, but same symptoms, nevertheless. So that's my story with my 24/7 dizziness, disequilibrium, and pre-syncope dizziness in certain head positions. That's it.